Marlene Whitaker folds towels in silence. The fabric is warm from the dryer, soft against her palms. She aligns the corners with care, creased, exact, symmetrical. In this house, order is peace. And peace is earned, not given. The candle on the windowsill flickers faintly, casting golden light across a spotless kitchen. Vanilla and eucalyptus linger in the air, Grant's favorite scent. But she doesn't light it for him. She lights it for herself. Every morning, Marlene lit a candle in the kitchen, not for the scent, but for the silence. It was her way of holding chaos at bay. Outside, wind chimes sway in the spring breeze. A dog barks in the neighbor's yard. Somewhere down the street, a lawnmower hums into life. She tucks a lunchbox into her daughter's backpack. She smooths Lacey's hair and kisses her temple. Lacey pulls away too quickly. She's been doing that lately. Marlene smiles anyway, pretending not to notice the stiffness in her child's shoulders. At the door, Grant whistles as he ties his shoes. His clerical collar is crisp. His Bible sits on the counter, spine worn from years of use. He grins at Marlene, then kisses her cheek, light, practiced, mechanical. It looked like a good marriage. From the outside. The kind neighbors smiled at. The kind churches praised. He drives Lacey to school most mornings. Says it's their time to talk. But when Marlene waves them off, her smile doesn't quite reach her eyes. She closes the door slowly. Alone again, she leans against it. Just for a second. Just to breathe. She seemed happy. But her eyes lingered a little too long when Lacey left for school. Her hugs clung too tight. On the kitchen counter, Lacey's school notebook peeks from under a folder. Marlene walks past it. Doesn't open it. Not yet. She had no idea that her daughter's diary was a ticking time bomb. If stories like this shake your soul, subscribe to Shocking True Crime Saga. Because here, the truth doesn't whisper. It haunts. Grant smiles too much. Not just at Marlene, but at Lacey. It begins in the kitchen. He cracks eggs into a pan with a lightness that seems rehearsed. He hums a hymn under his breath and sets the table with quiet precision. 2 mugs appear, one black for himself. One with tiny daisies, chipped at the handle, Lacey's favorite. She hasn't come downstairs yet. But the mug is already filled with peppermint tea. Marlene watches. It should be sweet. It should be nothing. He offers to drive Lacey to volleyball practice again. Says he doesn't mind, even though it's out of the way. Lacey declines. Says she's meeting a friend. He insists. Marlene laughs it off. She's always believed Grant just takes parenting seriously. He reads devotionals about fatherhood. Speaks at marriage conferences. Holds hands with old women in prayer circles. He's careful with his words. He's careful with everything. But that week, Lacey starts locking her bedroom door. She doesn't touch the peppermint tea. She pours it down the sink when she thinks no one's looking. The dog, usually calm, starts growling when Grant enters her room. Its ears flatten. Its body stiffens. Grant tells it to hush and laughs awkwardly. The dog doesn't stop. Marlene notices. At night, she hears Grant knock on Lacey's door. Lightly. Once. Twice. Lacey never opens. Marlene tells herself it's nothing. That being kind is safer than being cold. That she's imagining things. But something small inside her begins to curl in on itself. She tells herself it's hormones. A teenage phase. Too much stress at school. She doesn't ask. Not yet. She tells herself it's harmless. That being kind is safer than being cold. But the dog keeps barking. And Lacey starts sleeping with her lamp on. Marlene finds Lacey in the bathtub. The water is cold. Her clothes are soaked. Her knees are pulled to her chest, arms wrapped tightly around them, chin buried between her shoulders. The faucet is still dripping, rhythmic and slow, like a ticking clock no one can silence. Marlene kneels by the tub and reaches for her. Lacey doesn't look up. Her lips are blue. Her eyes are red. Marlene asks her what happened, voice shaking, but Lacey just says, "It's school. It's just school." She lies, and Marlene knows it. But what's more terrifying than a lie is realizing your child doesn't feel safe enough to tell you the truth. Later that week, the school calls. A teacher's voice, low and concerned, says Lacey hasn't turned in her last 3 assignments. Her test scores have dropped. She's skipping class. Sitting alone at lunch. The word depression floats between sentences. It catches in Marlene's throat. She tries to talk to Grant that night. He listens, brushing lint from his sleeve like he's swatting away a gnat. "She's just a teenager," he says. "Hormones. Drama. You're reading too much into it." He offers to talk to Lacey himself. Says maybe what she needs is guidance. Structure. Prayer. But the next morning, when he hugs her before school, Lacey flinches. It's slight. Barely visible. But Marlene sees it. The way her daughter's shoulders twitch under his hand, the way she holds her breath until he pulls away. Lacey doesn't meet his eyes. Doesn't speak. Just picks up her bag and walks out the door. That night, Marlene checks her phone usage report. All the browser history is cleared. Her text messages are short. Polite. Sanitized. But something doesn't add up. The music Lacey listens to is slower now. Sadder. Lyrics about drowning. Lyrics about silence. Her journal is missing from its usual place. Grant finds it for her. Says it was under the couch. Hands it back with a smile that feels too smooth, too knowing. He knew what music made her cry. What she dreamt about. What she deleted before handing over her phone. Marlene senses it, an invisible shape shifting in the shadows of their home. But doubt is a cruel silencer. It doesn't shout. It whispers. She tells herself, if something were wrong, she'd tell me. And outside, the candle flickers. One evening, the house is quieter than usual. No gospel music from the speakers. No laughter. Just the sound of the dishwasher humming and the faint rustle of wind pressing against the kitchen window. Marlene is wiping down the counters when she sees it, Lacey's diary. It's sitting on the dining table, half buried under a folder, its blue faux leather cover slightly worn at the corners. She almost walks past it. Almost. She calls upstairs. No answer. Her fingers hover over it for a beat too long. She tells herself she's just making sure it's nothing. Just checking. Just being a mother. She opens it. The first line stops her heart. It happened again last night. Her throat closes. She reads it again, slower this time. Then the next line. He told me not to tell. He always says it like that. Like he's doing me a favor. Her hands start to tremble. She flips through the pages. Carefully, desperately. The ink is smudged in some places, like tears had stained it before it dried. He waits until Mom is asleep. I can hear his belt when it hits the floor. He says it's our little secret. Marlene grips the edge of the table to steady herself. The room tilts. The air becomes too thick to breathe. Each word burns through her. Not just the violation, but the familiarity of the voice in those pages. Her daughter writes in whispers. In metaphors. But there's no mistaking what she means. She turns another page. He says I look like her when I was younger. I hate when he says that. The pen slips from Marlene's fingers. Her mouth opens but nothing comes out. Then she hears it, the slow grind of the garage door rising. Grant's home. Panic crashes through her. She grabs the diary, runs into the laundry room, and shoves it deep under the towels in the hamper. She presses the lid down and smooths the top like it was never touched. The door opens. His voice calls out from the hallway. "Hey babe, you want anything from the gas station? I need to grab some batteries." She doesn't answer. He enters the kitchen. She's already rinsing a cup in the sink, back turned, forcing her hands to stop shaking. He wraps an arm around her waist. She jumps. "Whoa," he says, chuckling. "It's just me." She nods without looking at him. Says she's tired. Later that night, she lies awake in bed beside him. His breathing is heavy. Steady. He sleeps soundly. But she watches him. Lacey's bedroom light stays on until after midnight. Marlene hears the lock click into place. A soft, metallic finality. The sound of a child fortifying herself. Marlene turns to the ceiling. She can't cry. Can't move. It wasn't just betrayal. It was psychological warfare. And she was living in enemy territory. Marlene doesn't sleep. She lies awake beside him, the ceiling a blank canvas for every fear she's too afraid to name. When the sun breaks through the curtains, pale and indifferent, she moves like a ghost through her morning routine. She forgets to light the candle. That afternoon, she calls Naomi. They haven't spoken in over 2 years. Not since the funeral. Not since the last fight, over something so small neither of them even remembers what it was. Naomi answers on the second ring. Her voice is cautious, but warm. Marlene doesn't explain. She just asks, "Can we meet?" Naomi doesn't hesitate. They sit at a park bench near the elementary school. It's quiet now. Lacey hasn't played here in years, but Marlene remembers when she did, pink sneakers, skinned knees, wide eyes. Marlene speaks slowly at first. Bits and pieces. Then all at once. The words spill out before she can filter them. Naomi listens. She doesn't ask questions. She doesn't gasp. She doesn't interrupt. She just listens. Her silence is louder than shock. More powerful than pity. When Marlene finally stops, there's a long pause. Then Naomi says, "What are you going to do?" Marlene doesn't know. They sit there as children play nearby. As if life continues normally somewhere else. Somewhere far from where they are. Naomi places a hand on her sister's back. No scripture. No advice. Just presence. And for the first time in weeks, Marlene laughs. Just a little. A brittle sound. But it's real. It was the first time she'd laughed in weeks. The last time she'd feel safe. That night, when she returns home, the hallway smells like cut flowers. Grant stands in the kitchen holding a bouquet of roses. He smiles too widely, teeth too perfect. He says he was thinking of her. That he felt bad for being distracted lately. He kisses her on the forehead, says she deserves to be reminded she's loved. Marlene takes the flowers. Her hand doesn't stop trembling. She calls Lacey down for dinner. Twice. Lacey doesn't come. Her door stays locked. The roses wilt before the week ends. Marlene waits until the dishes are done, until Lacey has gone upstairs, until the house is blanketed in that thick, uneasy stillness that only lives between two people pretending everything is fine. She finds Grant in the living room, scrolling through his phone, legs crossed, looking far too relaxed for a man whose world should be burning. Her voice is low. trembling. Controlled in a way that takes effort. She doesn't mention the diary. Doesn't mention the pages she read through clenched teeth. She only asks a question, soft, careful. Is there something going on between you and Lacey? Grant looks up. For a moment, something flickers in his eyes. Not fear. Not guilt. Just calculation. Then, a smile. He sets his phone down slowly, like they're about to have a conversation about the weather. His voice is smooth, almost amused. You know how dramatic she is, he says. She lives in her own world. Half the time I can't tell what's real with her. Marlene's breath catches. He sees it. Leans in. She's fragile. Like you were. Sensitive. But you're supposed to know better. The words land like bricks. She tries to speak, but he cuts her off with a chuckle, quiet, cold. You're feeding her fantasy. You've always done that. The overprotective mother. Always looking for a villain so you can feel like a hero. Her hands are cold. Her mouth dry. Her heart pounds in her chest like a warning siren trapped beneath her ribs. Then he leans closer. You're slipping, Marlene. You're paranoid. Emotional. Maybe even unstable. He says it with a kind of softness that makes it worse. And if you're not careful, he adds, voice dropping low, I'll take Lacey and go. I'll tell them you've lost it. That you've been acting strange. Everyone knows how fragile you can be. Something in her fractures. But she doesn't show it. Not here. Not now. She nods. Says nothing. Walks away. Upstairs, Lacey's bedroom door is locked, as usual. But later, when Marlene returns from the bathroom, she sees something folded and slid under her door. A piece of lined notebook paper. Torn edges. Handwritten in pencil, smudged with haste. Don't leave me alone with him. She reads it 3 times before the words stop blurring. Then she tucks it under her pillow and climbs into bed beside the man she used to love. He sleeps soundly. One hand resting over his chest like he's at peace with the world. But Marlene doesn't sleep. She had finally said no. But in his mind, no meant war. Marlene waits until the house is hushed and hollow. Grant's breathing beside her is slow, even. A rhythm that's become a mockery of peace. Lacey's light is off. Her door still locked from the inside. Marlene rises quietly. She doesn't bother putting on slippers. The floorboards creak beneath her bare feet, but Grant doesn't stir. The hallway is dim, the air pressed down by something invisible. She passes the laundry room. Opens the hamper. The diary is still there, wedged between damp towels and the faint scent of lavender detergent. She pulls it out, its weight heavier than it should be. This time, she doesn't skim. She reads every line. Every entry. There's a night Lacey writes about trying to bite her own hand to keep from screaming. There's a night she begged him not to. There's a night she wrote, I don't think I exist anymore. Marlene's hand covers her mouth. At the back of the diary, folded between the pages, is a drawing. A girl with no eyes. No mouth. Just silence. Surrounded by shadows with her arms reaching out, toward nothing. She walks down the stairs like her body isn't hers anymore. Like she's watching herself from across the room. The garage door groans as it opens. Inside the gun safe, the revolver sits untouched. Grant keeps it for emergencies. Hasn't fired it in years. She knows the combination. She's memorized it from watching him fumble with it one too many times. She loads the bullets slowly. Fingers trembling. Breathing uneven. But there's no hesitation. The house smells like toast and melting butter. Grant stands in the kitchen, back turned. He's whistling something, soft, familiar. One of those old church songs about mercy. He looks up when she enters. Smiles. "Morning, babe. Want some?" She raises the gun. He blinks. Laughs, confused. "You wouldn't." She pulls the trigger. The shot cracks through the kitchen like a scream. He stumbles back, crashing into the counter. Eyes wide. Hand clutching his side. She fires again. This time, the sound is louder. Or maybe the silence after is just deeper. His body collapses to the floor, twitching. A pool begins to spread across the linoleum. Lacey's scream pierces the air from upstairs. Footsteps thunder down. She stops at the foot of the stairs, eyes wide, frozen. Marlene doesn't look away. Doesn't drop the gun. Her breathing is shallow, but her hands don't shake anymore. Outside, a neighbor is already on the phone. Sirens begin to howl in the distance, growing louder, closer. Lacey runs to her mother and buries herself in her arms. Marlene drops the gun only after she's sure her daughter is safe. The police arrive minutes later. Guns drawn. Voices shouting. Marlene doesn't resist. She doesn't speak. They cuff her. They ask if she understands her rights. She nods once. And when they ask if she's sorry, she says no. Not even once. The sirens split the morning open. Red and blue lights smear across the kitchen walls. Officers flood the house, shouting commands, weapons drawn, voices clipped and sharp. Lacey is shaking, her face buried against her mother's side. Marlene doesn't move. She doesn't flinch when they raise their guns. She doesn't plead. She opens her hands and lets them take the weapon from the floor. She kneels when they tell her to. Turns her back. Offers her wrists without hesitation. The cuffs click around her skin like cold punctuation. She asks only one thing. "Can I hug my daughter?" There's a pause. Then a nod. Lacey rushes forward. She wraps her arms around her mother's waist like she's trying to hold time still. Her sobs are quiet but fierce. Her fingers claw at the fabric of Marlene's shirt. Marlene bends, presses her lips to Lacey's forehead, and whispers something no one else hears. Officers pull them apart. Gently. But firmly. Lacey's arms stay extended long after Marlene is out of reach. Outside, neighbors have gathered behind yellow tape. Phones raised. Eyes wide. No one speaks. Inside the squad car, Marlene doesn't cry. She watches the house grow smaller through the rear window. The house where it all happened. The house where she'd failed to see what was right in front of her. The news spreads quickly. Youth pastor shot dead by wife. Mother charged with murder. Family secrets exposed in Georgia suburb. At the trial, the diary is submitted into evidence. The courtroom is silent as the entries are read aloud. Word by word. Page by page. Some jurors turn away. Others close their eyes. A few wipe tears. The prosecutor calls it premeditated murder. Says she had time to walk away. Time to call the police. Time to do anything else. But the jury sees something different. They see a mother with nothing left to lose. A woman who begged for signs. Who lit candles for silence. Who swallowed doubt until it drowned her. They see a girl who stopped drinking tea. Who locked her door. Who drew pictures of ghosts with no faces. The verdict is complicated. The headlines call it controversial. But Marlene never argues. On the stand, her voice is steady. Not defiant. Not broken. Just, done. Her last words aren't for the judge. They're not for the cameras. Not for the courtroom. They're for her daughter. You're safe now. Some dangers don't knock. They move in quietly. They tuck themselves into your life like folded sheets. They hold hands at dinner. Say grace with their eyes closed. Kiss your child's forehead and call it love. They wear familiarity like a mask. Marlene sits in a prison cell where the walls are the color of paper ash, and time moves in strange shapes. It's cold even in summer. Meals come at strange hours. The days blur together. But inside her, something has stopped screaming. There's silence now. A different kind than before. Not the silence of denial. Not the silence of being dismissed. This one has weight. Shape. Meaning. Lacey writes her letters. Every week. Sometimes two. Sometimes just a drawing. A flower. A heart. A little girl standing on a hill with the sun above her head. She signs them all the same way, I love you. I'm safe. L. What is justice, really? Is it a courtroom gavel? A headline? A sentence handed down by people who will never read the things a child wrote in the dark? Or is it a mother standing between her daughter and a man the world trusted? How many mothers sit in pews, staring straight ahead, knowing? How many daughters close their doors and sleep with lights on, wondering why no one believes them? How many wives hear something in their husband's voice and don't ask? Because asking means destroying everything. Marlene didn't want to destroy anything. She wanted to protect. But protection came too late. When the laws couldn't hold what needed holding. When the church turned its face away. When silence had festered for too long. Sometimes justice doesn't come wrapped in a verdict. Sometimes it comes in the shape of a revolver. A trigger pulled in the quiet of a kitchen. A mother's voice whispering, "You're safe now." And the question lingers, quiet but sharp, would you have read the diary? Would you have pulled the trigger? Or would you have lit a candle, and waited, while the fire grew? This is shocking true crime saga. Where the truth doesn't whisper. It haunts. Have you ever walked into a room and felt it change? Not because of sound, but because of presence. A pressure in the air. A shadow just behind the smile. A silence too sharp to ignore. Have you ever felt watched, in your own home? Have you or someone you love ever felt unsafe, but didn't have the words? Didn't know who would believe you? Didn't know if saying something would fix anything, or only make it worse? Because sometimes, the most dangerous people don't look dangerous at all. Sometimes they say the right prayers, wear the right clothes, carry the right titles. Sometimes they are the ones others trust the most. And when the truth finally claws its way into the light, it's too late to undo the damage. Too late to go back to before. But not too late to speak. Not too late to choose differently. Not too late to protect someone else. If this story reminded you of something you've seen, or felt, or feared, tell us in the comments. Your story might save someone else. And if these stories matter to you, if they stir something you can't quite name, subscribe to Shocking True Crime Saga. Because here, we don't just tell stories. We unmask them.